everyone, welcome to episode 200 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Tuesday, it is November 9th, 2021. My name is Carol, I am known as Knits and Pearls on Ravelry, and I live in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada, just over an hour's drive east of Vancouver. This is mainly a knitting podcast, but I do enjoy a number of fiber arts and crafts, and so if you tune in you may occasionally see me talking about my sewing, which mainly consists of quilting these days, cross stitch, and my most recent hobby, weaving. I got a loom for Christmas last year and unfortunately don't use it as much as I should or would like to. So if you are new to the podcast, I'd like to say a special hello and welcome, and thank you for checking things out. I hope you like what you see and that you'll be back. And if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Thanks so much for coming back once again to spend part of your day with me. So I had intended to record last week as promised, but for various reasons that didn't happen. But here I am. It is late afternoon and it is dark and rainy outside, and so I'm afraid the lighting is not going to be that great, especially since we have now fallen back, set our clocks back, so it is dark earlier than it used to be. But we're just gonna have to make do because this is the only chance I have this week to record, and I really didn't want another week to go by without putting out an episode. So the benefit of not recording last week is that I have more things to talk about. I have finished 2 projects since we last spoke, and I have cast on 2 new ones. And then I have another project that you have seen before that's still in progress. So make yourself comfortable and let's talk about some knitting, shall we? So my first project, for those of you who saw last episode, you probably recognize my Veranda Shade shawl by Helen Stewart. And last time I recorded, all I had to do was the bind off. So I did do that. I think it was the next day or the day after, and blocked it out and just snipped off all the ends before I recorded and tried it on. So I'll just step in my chair a little bit so you can see how it looks on. I've basically just kind of wrapped it around me many times. I'll talk about the yarn and then I will take it off and show it to you in greater detail. So I used 3 different colors of Fiddly Dyeworks yarn. They are fairly local to me. This is the Merino sock, which is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and 3 colorways. So this light color is Karis, the green is Gretchen, and then this beautiful cranberry color is Adira. And I'm really happy because I have this much yarn left over, enough to knit a pair of socks. So I am pretty happy about that because I just adore these yarns. Everything about them. I like working with the actual yarn, and I just love the Fiddly Dyeworks colorways. She just does a beautiful, beautiful job. Okay, so let's take this off. Oh, did I mention this is the 5th shawl in the Shawl Society 5. Later, I will show you the beginnings of my 6th and final shawl from that collection. Little spoiler. Okay, so here it is. I'm just going to put up over my face for a minute. This is the center of the shawl, and it is very long. Seems to go on forever. It's a long crescent shaped shawl. I would say it's over 7 feet tip to tip. I can hold it stretched out. I'm 5 3. And yeah, I've got, oh, definitely more than a foot on each side. So it's quite long. I confess this is not my favorite style of shawl. Um, Partly, well, mainly, I guess, because I do wear most of my shawls as scarves, and I find this style a little bit hard to style. So, as I told you when I had it on before, I had just basically wrapped it and wrapped it and wrapped it around my neck. You could also, I guess you could wear it as a traditional shawl, but then you have these long ends that hang down. I guess then you could kind of, you know, double them back and put them behind your back. I don't tend to do that very often. Another way I could wear it, or you could wear it, or someone could wear it, is to do this and either leave these long ends hanging, or what I usually prefer to do is tie them up. Just put them in a loose knot, and obviously zhuzh it a little to make it look a little bit more pleasing. I do really like how this turned out. I think this trellis lace section is so pretty, and I added in a third color. The shawl itself only calls for 2 colors, and these stripes are knit with the first color that you use. But I really like how this cranberry kind of picks out the pink in there. So yeah, quite lovely. Now again, with the lighting, I think in real life it matches this sweater better than it does on camera. This is really getting blown out. It is not quite as bright as it appears. I guess neither are these, because this and this are about the same color, but I assure you they are not quite as bright as they appear. So I'm just blaming the lighting. It's actually, oh, it's just really started to pour out there. We're supposed to get a lot of rain and wind. Thankfully not as much as the coast of Vancouver Island and the BC coast, which is to the west of us. But I think we're in for another wet night. We've had a lot of rain this fall. I mean, I know it's normal for here, but it seems to be more than usual this year. Anyway, I have another shawl to show you. And if you've been watching lately, you will know that it is Stephen West's Shawlography, which was his latest mystery knit along. Now, even though we have been given the green light to show spoilers, I know there are some of you out there that haven't yet gotten to the final clue. And so I am once again, just out of consideration for you, going to put a timestamp where you can tune in again if you do not want to be spoiled. I'll talk about the yarns first, and then I will show my shawl, and I'll give you ample warning when that's about to take place. So I have my leftover yarns in here. It took 5 colors of yarn, and so I'll show them to you in order of, well, no, I guess this makes it easier. I started out with 3 yarns, and they were part of a collection from Midnight Cravings Yarn Company. Yeah, see, that navy is not as bright as it looks there either. We're just gonna have to muddle through with the poor lighting today. So Midnight Cravings Yarn Company, whoops! They are a Canadian company out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, so out on the prairies. So I had bought these 3 colors together. This one is Sidewalk. This one is Casual Friday. It's darker gray with little blips of navy, and then this navy one is called Twilight. And then I added a pop of purple, of epic purple, from Black Cat Yarn Company, which is a very local to me shop right here in town. This is their luxury sock, which is a 70% superwash merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. And these yarns are the light sock. So it's an 85-15 superwash merino nylon. And then my final color was this blue lace weight yarn. Everything, sorry, lighting not great. This is from Miss Babs. It is called Isadora Lace Yarn. It is a 70% merino wool, 30% tussa silk in the abrazo colorway. And I held the lace weight yarn double to make, about a fingering. So once again, for the last time, I'll kind of put all my 5 colors together. If I can manage. There they are. And this was my color A, B, C, D, E. For those of you who know what I'm talking about. Okay, they're going all the back in the bag, except one just fell on the floor. Oh well. I have not yet weighed my leftovers to see how much my shawl actually took. But as you can see, I do have a fair bit left over of most of the colors. It was color B, the navy, that I used the most of. Okay, here it is in all its epic glory. So look away if you do not want to be spoiled, and come back at the timestamp that's indicated on the screen. And also you can find it by clicking on the down bar, and you'll see it there. All right, here we go. I am not gonna be able to get this into the whole screen. There it is, all blocked out. So up into that navy, those navy I-cord loops, that was clue 1. Clue 2 took us all the way up to the brioche section, those baubles. Clue 3 was brioche and this crisscross section, and then clue 4 was this striped border. Now, I did take some photos while it was blocking, so I will put those here so that you can see the whole thing, because even though I will give you a look from each side, you are not going to see the whole thing in this one screen. It's just way too big. Isn't it wonderful how it blocked out and really opened up these sections? Like you can really see the striping here, and especially opened up this brioche section, and then the top especially, because it was very not bunched up, but it was almost like a ribbing, and so you really needed to block it to have all the stripes really show off. So I'm getting warm. I'm taking this off, and then I'll talk about the shawl, Shawlography shawl a little bit. So this was my first ever Stephen West knit. I had done a Stephen West project before a few years ago. Began as a joke for one of our friends. I made him a pair of swants, which is a sweater that you turn into pants. So there's no knitting involved. It's just some cutting and sewing. And our ball team decided it would make a great statement to wear at our icebreaker tournament at the beginning of our following year for ball season. And so I forget how many pairs I sewed. Basically said, you guys find me the sweaters and I'll turn them into swats. And so we made quite an entrance when we walked onto the ball field, but it was tons and tons of fun. So I wouldn't say I've been intimidated by Stephen West patterns, but I would say is that a lot of them at first glance are not my style. And even though I appreciate the genius of the designs, oh my goodness, I don't know if you can hear that, but the rain is absolutely pouring down and blowing against the window. Hopefully, we don't have a power failure. Um, so, yeah, they're just not to my taste, but I can certainly appreciate the genius behind them. And I think sometimes what puts me off are the crazy color combinations that he uses. And then I have seen people knit them in, I guess, tamer color combinations, and I can appreciate how lovely they are. Um, I really liked last year's mystery shawl, and I'd really like to knit that one day. I know it's huge also, but I would like to give it a try. As for this one, I am not sure when I've had so much fun knitting a project um, in a long time. I'm very much a process knitter, and I've heard this comment made by a number of people who've been working on this shawl that they are process knitters, and I was 100% in this for the process. Um, I found the pattern very easy to follow, especially because there were accompanying videos, and Stephen just very clearly demonstrated all of the various stitches that you needed to learn, or the various techniques. Um, it was fun seeing how the colors played out. I was really happy with my not only my color selection, but the order in which I chose to use them. Because I especially like here with the having the light gray and the dark gray. It ended up sort of alternating between the pops of color up here, and the navy set off this really well. Here it worked out really well to have this light stripe going between the two brighter ones. I liked that the section had definite contrast between the two colors, as did this section. This section's a little more subtle, but definitely you can see the striping. Here, once again, the dark with the pop of color worked out really well. And then I I knit and reknit parts of the border. I think it was the third time that I started it was the charm. Um, this is one area where we could choose which order our colors went in. And I fiddled around with a few different combinations before I finally settled on this, and I am really happy with my final choice. Other versions had me going from light to dark, which is one thing that Stephen West suggested. So I had the lightest gray, this color, the navy, and then the pop. But it just gave me these blocks of lightness and brightness and dark. I just didn't quite like it. And I can't remember what I did originally, but I'm really happy with how it ended up, because again, I like how this light kind of breaks up some of the color combinations. So all in all, very fun. Now I have to admit that when I was seeing how it went, first off, I wasn't sure how these wedges were going to work out, and I really thought that was going to be terrible. But actually what happened in the end is just they became part of this crescent. So if you see it held out, that's all they are. They're just a wedge of color, and that was really, really effective. I also have to say, when I first saw the striping on the border, I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but I think it's the perfect finish. It lets each color shine by itself. Whoops. And I think it gave a really nice border. And it wasn't until I'd washed and blocked the shawl and was able to really look at it in its entirety that I appreciated how well all these various design elements came together, and what seemed to be crazy pants at first actually are not as crazy as they seem. There was some really, the other thing I really liked about this was that I learned some new techniques and stitches. I thought these short row sections were great. These I-cord loops, which at the time I thought were kind of wackadoodle, I think are really, really neat. This was a really cool stitch I had not done before. These welts. Baubles I'd done. It was a new way of doing a bauble though, and I quite like it. I think they stand out on the right side better than a lot of baubles I've done before, which tend to curl back towards the back of your knitting. And I finally got to try brioche, something I've kind of avoided for a long time. Again, not so much out of fear, just haven't felt any burning desire to learn it, but now that I have, I'm anxious to give it another go. And I had done this stitch pattern before, actually years and years ago, on an Afghan that I made for my mom. So this one was not new to me, but again, I just think it's a neat effect, and it's kind of cool to have these open sections with those I-cord loops and then these crisscrosses, and here too along the edge of the wedges. So yes, there it is. It's Shawlography is in the bag. One last look at it. Now I'll put it away. And so welcome back if you were avoiding spoilers. Now it's time to talk about another shawl. As I alluded to earlier, I did cast on the 6th and final shawl from the Shawl Society 5 by Helen Stewart. And this one is called Hinterlands Shawl. And it is a triangular shawl. Has these little tassels on it. I am not sure if I'm going to do tassels. I'm not sure if I'm a tassel person, but I really do like the actual design of the shawl. Oh, and you might notice I got some new ink, so the printing's not quite so terrible as some of my other ones have been. Now let me just see if I can find a good picture of it being held out. I see a small photo there, but let's see here. Not so much. There's a picture of it there. It's done in another color palette, which I really like. And then I know on the back there was a small picture of it from the back. Let's see if I can find that. I just went by it. So what I hadn't appreciated until I started knitting on it is that the center section features a couple of different textured patterns. So just gonna put this over here. I'll show you the yarns I've chosen, and then I will show you the what I've done so far. So I am using 3 colors of Madeline Tosh Merino Light. And I have had these kind of set aside for a shawl for quite a long time. So this one is Outlander. This one is Sun Rose. It's kind of a pinky red. It looks more reddy red in this picture, or in this screen, in this lighting. And then I debated between 2 yarns for the 3rd color. So I have this full skein. I meant to look up the colorway name. I think it might be Thunderstorm. And it's a navy black and navy together. But then I also have this partial skein of Onyx. I think I just saw lightning flash. Partial skein of Onyx, which is black, and that's what I've chosen to go with, partly because I don't need a lot of the black. This should do it, and partly because it does have some black in here. and I think it will look better than the navy. So I'll bring these up closer so you can see those 3 yarns together. Kind of hide behind them. So I have not done much. I don't even have 5% of this done yet. That's because there's another project that has captured my attention. I cast this and the next project on the same day, and the other projects kind of won out. But here's the beginning. Just make sure I have the right side. Here we go. So there's my humble beginnings. So it began with garter stitch, and then we've moved on. I'm not sure what this stitch is called, but she has used this in other patterns. I know for sure there's a sock pattern that features this stitch pattern. It's a little bit lost on the speckly yarn, but that's okay. I still like it, and I like how the 3 colors, I think they'll play together well. So like a lot of her patterns so far, quite straightforward, simple to follow, so it doesn't take too much attention. And I like how she has this I-cord or modified I-cord edge. That's one thing I really liked about the Stephen West shawl, is the beautiful I-cord edgings that went throughout. So yeah, happy to be casting on the final project for that Shawl Society. I really need to pick up my final socks from the Handmade Sock Society, because I only have that one last pair to finish. So it's kind of been on my conscience, but other things have been calling to me, so I've just been listening. So another new cast on, as I mentioned, I cast it on the same day as the shawl, and the reason is because Saturday morning I finished my Shawlography, got it soaking to block out, and started winding yarn, and this is my next project now, just a black and white photo for now. So this one's called Knit Me Baby One More Time, and it is by, I even wrote it, I wrote on the bottom, Mary Annarella, who is Lyrical Knits. I don't know if you can see that name. This is a fingering weight sweater, and so far the pattern is just so meticulously written. It is done from the top down. You begin with the back, then you pick up along the front edges, begin to knit your fronts, and then you incorporate your sleeves. So rather than having a sleeve seam like there is in my sweater, you construct this whole sleeve cap as you knit the front and the back. And what I also really like about it is it has a fairly deep neck, which I prefer to a crew neck like this has. I really like having that, just that little bit of a deeper neckline. So I really liked that, and other than that, it's a really basic sweater. Now, I am going to knit it long sleeve though. And I was inspired by a project that was on the Ravelry pattern page, and this is a project by Judy Knits a Lot Now, and that inspired me to choose my colors and to knit it in a certain way. So I'm going to knit mine like this, only I'm going to do long sleeves. So the colors I've chosen, you might recognize this yarn if you've been watching lately. It is yarn I picked up at Knit City, and also had inadvertently ordered some of the same colorways online. It is by All Points North Yarn Company. It is their Sweet Sock, and I have 3 different colors. So this color, again, very much like what I'm wearing. It's a little bit darker and a little bit less bright. Just like I say, the lighting is just blowing everything out today. So this is the color I've begun with. And then I'm going to use this as the main color. And I have 2 skeins of the raindrops. So this, pardon me, this one is called All of You, like I love you. This one is raindrops, and I had bought 1 skein online and 1 skein at the show. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of a difference between them. So I'm going to alternate these skeins. If I knew that 1 skein would be enough, I would choose this lighter, but I don't know that it will, and so I want to make sure that it looks blended throughout. And what might be difficult to tell on screen is that there are speckles of this olive color in there. And then my final color is navy. Again, not as bright. It's quite a subdued navy. And this is Anchors Away. So I'm just going to, for simplicity's sake, just hold up these 3 colors. And maybe it's better from the sides. Anyway, I am, there you go. So it'll be in that order. I am super excited to be knitting this. I've been itching to cast on a sweater for a while. I know I've mentioned that for several weeks running, so I finally have, and that's what I've mostly been working on. So I've got quite a bit done. So it's just on a small 24-inch 60-centimeter needle, so I'm afraid it's all bunched up. But this is the front neckline. Yeah, not so great. Yeah, that's the front neckline. You can see the shoulders seams in quotations there. They're not seams at all, but you pick up along the cast on edge, I think, or worked stitches anyway. And then you can see how that sleeve cap is being knit right in. It's just genius. And I really like how the yarn is knitting up so far. Again, I've been obsessed with this avocado olivey green, especially this year. I've bought a number of articles of clothing that it features in, and so I say just roll with it. If that's what I like, that's what I'm knitting. So I don't know how long that's going to take me, especially with the holidays coming up, and I'm sure I'll be doing some holiday knitting, but I don't think I'm going to be doing very much. I know Cameron wants a pair of slippers. I was first off going to knit my grandson a scarf that he kind of designed. He decided he didn't want that, and then my daughter mentioned that he might like another pair of socks because he likes handmade socks. But he was here on Friday. I picked him up from school, and I think he must have walked to, he was outside in the rain at some point anyway, because his feet were absolutely soaked. His socks were soaked. So I had some old pairs of hand knit socks. When I first started knitting hand knit socks, what other kind of socks am I going to knit? When I first started knitting socks, I had a tendency to knit a bit tighter, and also I would begin the toe just a little bit too early. So some of my socks were a little bit too short. So they fit him really well. I just brought out a bunch of pairs and I said, take what you want. So he ended up taking 7 pairs of socks. So I was happy to see them leave my house because I had them set aside to donate anyway. And now I feel like I don't have to knit him socks for Christmas or birthday. So there we go. Okay, one more project, and that is a pair of socks. Speaking of socks, a pair of socks you have seen before. They are my Inversibles from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. I am knitting these as part of the nature mail that she is hosting, and I won this yarn as a prize for the 3rd quarter. So the 4th quarter theme is sky, and this colorway is Goth Purple and Harvest Moon. So I'm calling them my Hunter's Moon socks because I started them right around the time of the Hunter's Moon. So there's the yarn. They are 2 skeins, 250-gram skeins that are like opposite stripes. And I can see that my yarn's twisted around here. Just pull these out of my bag, so give me a sec. There you go. So this is how they're knitting up. So I've put a little bit more work in them since we last met. I think they're at the same place, yeah. So I'm going to have some time, some car time and visiting time this coming next few days to work on these. So these should have grown considerably by the time you see them next. So that's it for my knitting. So what's been going on? Well, I might as well. We're going to be going to Victoria, which is on Vancouver Island, tomorrow. Cross fingers we get a ferry at a decent time. We tried to reserve and it's all booked up. So we're leaving here at 3 o'clock. Our choices, or our possible ferries that we could catch, are going to be the 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or 9 o'clock. On long holiday weekends, the ferries are crazy busy, and there's no guarantee we'll even get on. So cross fingers for us. It is Remembrance Day on Thursday here in Canada. I think it's Veterans Day. Is that correct? In the U.S., Remembrance Day is when we honor and remember our fallen servicemen and women. So my mother-in-law is a vet. She served during the Second World War, as did my father-in-law, but my mother-in-law is still alive. So we are going to go and see her, and we'll stay at my brother-in-law and sister-in-law's place. And our daughter Jessica is going with us. So she's going to have a few days away from home, which I'm sure she'll appreciate. She's got 3 kids and a full-time job, so she's a busy lady. So that gives her a little bit of a break and gives her a chance to see her grandmother for the first time in a few years. So that'll be good. So we are going to come back Saturday, though, avoid the Sunday rush, hopefully, and have a day at home to kind of get settled back in before Cameron goes back to work. So he thankfully has not had to go away for the last few weeks, and it sounds like things are going well at the store out of town where he's been working away from home quite a bit this year. So while he may need to go up and let his manager get a couple days off in a row here and there, he's been able to be home, so that's good. On the other hand, work here has been extremely busy and stressful. His company launched a new computer system Halloween Day. They chose Sunday because it was not quite as busy as Monday, and I think with any of these types of things, there have been various hiccups and challenges to work through. So yeah, it's been a week. So I'm sure he's appreciating the chance to be away from work and away from, home for a few days, in the sense that he can't just go down to a store. He's legitimately not able to go into work, which is a good thing because he's put in a lot of hours the last week or so. Let me see. Oh, it was fun. So last Friday night, Cameron and I, along with 2 of our kids and 2 of our kids-in-law, went and saw the new James Bond movie. So that's the first movie we've been to since COVID. I think the last movie we figured out that we saw was the um, most recent Lego movie with our grandchildren. um, so yeah, it was fun, not just to go to a movie, but the movie itself was very action packed as James Bond. Did I say it was the most recent James Bond movie? No Time to Die. So I haven't seen a James Bond movie for quite a while either, and not in the theater. And so lots of action and typical James Bond type of movie in that sense. And then yeah, then we all went out afterwards for a drink. So it was nice to sort of have an outing with our adult children and um, spouses. Unfortunately, Jessica was actually supposed to go, but she wasn't feeling well, and so her husband ended up coming instead. So we had a very nice evening. It was great. Oh yeah, I gotta tell you this story. So for those of you who've been watching for a while, you've heard my ongoing trials and tribulations with the moles in our yards. And they are constant problem. They're very destructive and they're very hard to get rid of. So about this time last year, I think it was, we yeah, it was, we bought a new kind of mole trap and have had some success with it. But even though when we catch a mole, inevitably another one shows up and starts making itself at home. So recently we'd seen some sign of mole activity, and I had set the trap in a hole very close to the driveway. They often will travel along human-made edges like curbs, driveways, flower garden borders, things like that. So there had a big hill pop up right by the driveway, so I had set the trap in there, and then Cameron, unfortunately, one night it was dark and rainy when he got home, and he backed in the driveway and ran over the mole trap and broke it. So I went online and I ordered three more. We had bought one initially for quite a bit of money, and then I was able to get three for just over what I paid for one. So we decided that was a bargain. I think what happened is I think we quite overpaid the first time around, but hey, it has done its job and paid for itself many times since. So a couple of days ago, a new hole had popped up in the backyard, or in the front yard, I should say. And but I didn't have our mole traps yet. They were arriving that day. So I saw this hole had come up. And then a little while later, I was talking to my sister on the phone, and I'm looking out the front window. I kind of like do this double take, and I said, I think I just saw the earth moving in that mole hole. Kind of talking to her, and then it's like, yes, I did. I gotta go. I'm gonna see if I can catch this thing. So by the time I grabbed my shovel, I didn't even know what I was gonna do. I was gonna grab the shovel and shovel it out, hopefully, and then if I got it out of into the pail, I wasn't sure what I was gonna do with it. But I was gonna try and catch it. Anyway, by the time I got my shovel and pail and got out there, there was another little one that had started between the two existing ones. And I tried to get it, no luck. So the mole traps arrived later that day, and I promptly went out and set all three of them, two of them right in a row on two of these three new mole hills. And kept checking, looked in the morning, nothing, was looking off and on all day yesterday, nothing. And then late afternoon, it was getting dark, it was around this time probably, I saw that one had been triggered, and sure enough, I got the little critter. I don't usually use that polite a word to describe them. Anyway, so right there, that new mole trap just paid for itself. So we'll see if there's any more activity now, because there may be more than one out there, but now at least we can come at it from several directions instead of just relying on trying to pick the right spot with one trap. So probably way more than you ever wanted to hear about my mole uh, problems, trials and tribulations, but there you go. They're good for a laugh. I know when I first brought it up, I had a number of people comparing it to Caddyshack and the challenge with the gophers on the golf course. And yes, it does feel like that sometimes. I'm just going to look over my notes and see if there was anything else I wanted to mention. No, I think that's it. So that just leaves something good. And something good is this is my 200th regular episode. So I think that's worth celebrating. Sometimes you would think I hadn't done it that many times, the way sometimes it's disorganized, and I never seem to have it all together as much as I'd like to on recording day. I tend to put some things off, and so sometimes I'm kind of scrambling when I sit down here, but I just want to thank all of you for watching, because if you weren't watching, there'd be no point in doing this. I'd like to thank you for all the interaction, your comments and private messages, and I've had a chance to meet several of you in person. That's extremely awesome. And yeah, I just appreciate that you take the time to watch and take the time to engage. Coming up this January will be my 5th podiversary. That's not too far away. So I think 40, average of 40 episodes a year is not too shabby either, considering there are 52 weeks out of every year. So, or in every year. So yeah, so thanks for watching. Whether you're new or a returning viewer, I do very much appreciate the support and interaction. So I am hoping to record again next week with episode 201. So we'll see how that goes. So I hope you take care till then, and take some time to enjoy your crafting. Oh, okay, I had said that I wasn't sure if I was going to do anything special for this episode, and I had all sorts of ideas. But one thing I did do, you will have noticed, is I put a new intro. Let me know what you think. I had 2 versions. One that was just the still photo, and it was much shorter, and then the one with the little bit of look at some of the projects. I really like those cross-stitch projects. One says take time to stitch, the other says take time to knit, and I really do embrace that philosophy. So I wanted to work them into my intro in a way that people would be able to read them. On the other hand, that long an intro might be, too long. So let me know your opinion on that. If people are saying, yeah, I'd rather just get to the talking, then I'll just do a very, very quick intro with my title and contact info. So yeah, I'd appreciate your feedback. All right, so thanks for watching this week. Thanks for watching for the past almost 5 years, past 199 episodes, and take care, and I will see you again hopefully very soon. Bye.